Hi everyone, I'm Steve Stoller.
And I'm Shauna Haley, and this is Inside Plano, where we take you behind the scenes of our city.
We'll introduce you to the faces and places who help make this a great place to live.
And give us lots of reasons to love Plano. Well, happy holidays, Plano, and happy holidays, Steve Stoller.
Thank you, Shauna Haley. I appreciate that, and happy holidays to you and yours.
Well, thank you. Are you getting into the holiday spirit?
I am. I always get into the holiday spirit. You know what I like to call it?
What?
The 3 F's.
What are the 3 F's?
Family, friends, and fellowship.
Oh, that's wonderful. You know, I mean, it just was thinking through what do I do for the holidays that make the holidays feel special, and ever since I adopted our 2 youngest cats, you know, we don't do a lot of decorating right now because they're still in the what I call the DD phase, destructive demon phase. So there's not a lot of decorating going on, but I love to go look at the holiday lights. I love to make my grandma's poppy seed bread, you know, things that just make me feel like fellowship and food and friends coming over to spend time together. So that the 3 F's. I love that. Tell us what they are again.
Friends, family, and fellowship.
Oh, that's fabulous. Well, how about we talk about some of those things that are traditions then for the holiday in Plano? Because certainly there are things that every year you know that it's come to the holiday season when those things happen.
One of my favorite things is going to happen on Friday, December 6th. It's going to be in downtown Plano, and I have the honor of being the MC again this year.
Wow.
For the Dickens in Downtown, which is an incredible festival and celebration of the holidays.
So tell us some of the things that they do at Dickens. Why would somebody want to come to downtown Plano?
Well, I know you'll be there because Central Market's offering free s'mores.
Yes, we just had a conversation about
That's
how
right.
much I love s'mores. They're fabulous.
There's a real snow slide, Ice Wars, which is always cool. Those are the guys with the chainsaws that they have a competition.
That is an Instagram moment. If you're an Instagrammer, it's
fantastic.
really cool.
Victorian twist, of course, complete with Scrooge, Victorian music and entertainment, free photos with the Victorian Santa, carolers from the PISD, magical tree trail, tons of food, 50+ artists in the vendor village, and of course, the highlight comes at 7 o'clock, the tree lighting.
And those are some of my favorite photos every year. I love to just look at social media posts coming through because it seems like everybody's taking a picture of that beautiful tree reflected in the pond at Haggard Park. It's beautiful. It just feels like the holidays. You know, the other thing that feels very much like the holidays to me is the Plano Lions annual Christmas parade, and the city used to host it. Then, you know, thankfully, since it was our team that did it, I'm so grateful that the Plano Lions organize and host it, and we work with them cooperatively on that. That'll be Saturday, December 14th at 9 a.m. Spirit of America, you know, goes through a couple of streets in town, ends at Plano Senior High. It really is a wonderful way to spend a Saturday morning. I'm sure it'll be chilly, so, you know, bundle up, wear your festive gloves and mittens, bring some hot chocolate, and start a holiday weekend off right.
And those are such great holiday traditions in Plano.
Yeah.
So those are not city events. But if you do want to be in the holiday mood, you can check out some of the shows this month that are on stage at Plano's Courtyard Theater. I don't know if you've seen this band before, but they call it Hope in the Heartland, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Bluegrass Band. And really, it's a Beatles cover band, and they do the Beatles songs in the style of bluegrass.
I really think I'm going to go to one of their shows. They have multiple performances. I love bluegrass music. I moderately like the Beatles, but I am 100% convinced I would like the Beatles done bluegrass style.
Yeah, bluegrass is one of those musics where it's hard to imagine a song that's not happy.
Yeah.
It's just very upbeat, and it's great. I used to live in North Carolina where bluegrass is king.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and we used to go to these shows and we'd see the cloggers with the bluegrass music. I love it. I love it.
Fantastic.
It's full of life. And then we have some musical productions coming to the Courtyard. We have Scrooge the musical and Elf the musical.
Oh, those are wonderful
Yeah.
shows to see. So again, those are community productions, but they're hosted at Plano's Courtyard Theater. We'll put a link in the show notes and you can go get tickets to see those shows. There just really is something about, I think last month you mentioned that the Nutcracker was coming. You need to go see a show. There's something about a holiday spectacular festival on stage that just makes you feel festive. It makes you feel like you're in the holiday mood. It takes your mind off of all of the to-dos that have to get done.
I always loved the movie Elf with Will Ferrell, and I'm really curious to see how they've adapted that to a musical.
So I feel pretty sure you're going to go see that show. For sure.
I think so.
So yeah, so we have a holiday calendar on the city's website that you can go check those out. And by the way, when you go check those out, one thing you'll want to make sure that you double check, just life in the city. Not all facilities are open because there are some official city holidays during the month of December. So some facilities will be closed, some hours will be different. That doesn't affect every building, it doesn't affect every service, but you'd save yourself a world of heartache if you're heading out the door to go to the library, for example, or to go get in one last workout before you stuff yourself with turkey. Make sure that those buildings are going to be open and what hours that they'll restart.
And speaking of libraries, we've got a lot going on in our libraries, as always.
Yes.
We always talk about how amazed we are at the list of events for 1 month. Dozens, literally.
Yeah, and you'd think that it's just mostly story times, and there's certainly tons of story times, but it's really those other things that the library do that they talk about being more than books. Definitely, when I look at the programming, I say these folks are definitely more than books. For example, one of our corporate partners, right, will be coming in.
Toyota.
Yeah, the Wonder Cafe series is really interesting to me. That's a partnership between local businesses and the libraries, and it really is focused on STEM programming. So Toyota's coming in to talk specifically about STEAM. Now, the difference between STEM and STEAM is the letter A for those who want to spell, but that A stands for arts. So it's not just science, technology, engineering, and math. There's arts involved. So Toyota's talking about that. They're talking about how innovation shapes design, safety, and mobility of the future. And Toyota is really pushing that way, away from just car manufacturing into how technology is going to really reshape how we think about transportation. So that'll be good. That's at Parr Library on December 14th.
You mentioned Storytime. Do you know there's 2 superstars involved with Storytime?
Who?
Elephant and Piggy.
Well, of course.
Right? So Elephant and Piggy will visit Harrington Library for Storytime, activities, and more on December 21st. And you can check out our show notes for the dates when they'll be at the Davis and Haggard libraries.
Of course, I can't talk about this program without thinking about Monty Python, but I'm going to set that aside. I don't have any coconuts, but King Arthur is at Schimmelpfennig Library, and he's charged his Knights of the Round Table with an important mission. So what you're going to do, if you come to this program, you will work with other knights on an epic quest. You're going to explore the land, you're going to find clues, and your goal is to get back to Camelot victorious. So that sounds like a lot of fun and something very different.
Those aren't horses, those are coconuts.
I know. I'm sorry. When I was looking at that program, that's all I could think of. Like when you check in, you're going to get 2 coconut halves and really have a good time going through the library. Probably not. Moms and dads, don't tell the management team at Schimmelpfennig that we said you're going to get a coconut. But it might happen. I don't know.
And here's a fun one, Shauna. At the Davis Library on December 31st for grades 4 and up, can you escape 2019?
Lord, I hope so.
Find out as you and your friends solve puzzles and search for clues to break out of 2019.
Oh, that sounds fun. And there's another thing on the 31st as well. For little ones, they can party like it's 2020 already without having to stay up late. This is one of my favorite things that they do. It's at Parr Library and Haggard Library. They have a countdown to noon for New Year's Eve. So it starts at 11 and they'll do a giant countdown. So you can celebrate the New Year's, but do it at noon. And I really wish that they said that was for little ones and very tired communication directors, because I'd be down for that. I never stay up late.
Our special guest today is Chris Bianez, who is a police officer with the Plano Police Department assigned to the Crime Prevention Unit. Chris, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us
Happy
today.
to be here.
We always like to start our interviews by asking our guests to tell us something about themselves that we don't know. What is it about you that we haven't heard or we don't know?
Okay, 1997, I got a phone call from my background investigator who said, "Where are you?" I said, "At work, sir." He said, "I've got a job offer for you. Get over here." So I was excited, went over to the police department. As I was walking up, there he was standing there with a smile. I think he wanted to see, he knew I'd be enthusiastic. So I walked up and I said, "Listen, I don't want you to think I'm not excited. In fact, I'm so excited I could flip over this." And then I did. I did a standing backflip right in front of the stairs, and he went crazy, so that was great fun.
A lot of people may not know that your background, you came into law enforcement, you were a gymnast when you got out of
I was
school.
a gymnast and springboard diver, that's
And a
true.
diver. And a lot of people also may not know that you're quite the dancer and a celebrity at our Sam Johnson Recreation Center because you like dancing with the seniors.
Well, I'll tell you what, they can bust some moves out on that dance floor, I'll tell you what.
Chris, let's talk about what is the role of the Crime Prevention Unit?
The Crime Prevention Unit is a centralized source of assistance to help people and their property be more secure.
I know there's probably not a person out there who hasn't heard of lock, take, and hide, but just in case, can you go over lock, take, and hide, and is this enough, or is there something more we can do?
Okay, the Lock, Take, Hide initiative is pretty much across the country, I think, and it's lock your car, take your keys, and hide your belongings. But as far, I think, yes, there is something we can do more, and that is remove your belongings. If something is valuable to you, it's valuable to someone else. And I am shocked every time I read the reports of people leaving purses, laptops, wallets, computers, firearms in their vehicle. So get them out of your vehicle so you don't lose them.
You know, Chris, we have a camera on our front door at my house, and we get neighborhood alerts when other things within like a 2 to 3 mile radius occur. And it always amazes me to see videos of people getting into cars in driveways, and they're not breaking in.
No.
They're simply opening an unlocked door and then rummaging through the car.
A very large percentage, well, it's not maybe large, but sometimes a little bit close to 50% are unlocked vehicles in Plano. And you can see the cameras where they walk up to the cars, they pull the door handles, and if it's locked, they most likely move on. So locking your doors helps, but I think the best practice is not have anything in there you don't want to have taken.
Of course, during the holiday season, there's a lot of people going to and from stores, to and from restaurants. What can they do to protect themselves from pickpocketing and purse snatchers? Because I know during the holidays we see a lot of those crimes.
We do. One thing you can do is minimize what you're carrying. So that's a good thing, is only take what you need. Sometimes people have 10 or 15 credit cards with them and they're not even expecting or planning to use those. But we do have to, especially ladies, we need to watch the purses. They will take a cart and go out shopping, and they'll be in the grocery store, and they'll go around to the produce aisle and look around and not be paying attention to those purses. You have to understand there are people who specialize in ladies' purses. If you walk out of your vehicle real quick to drop off a child at child care, and that purse is in that car, they will break that window and get that purse. So we have to always have care, control, custody of our purses. And I don't like to personally sit on a wallet. So what I do, not only for the pickpockets, but also to minimize it, I have one credit card, one debit card, my driver's license, and a little bit of cash in my front pocket. So be aware of what you're carrying and have care, control, custody of those wallets.
I know one tip we often hear from the Crime Prevention Unit every year during the holidays is when you go shopping and you buy a lot of things and you have them in packages and bags, lock it in your trunk.
Yeah.
Because there's people, unfortunately, who go around the parking lots looking for packages and bags inside the car, and they'll bust the windows to get those.
That's correct. They go window shopping. And if something's really valuable, consider taking it home and securing it in your house rather than to leave it in the car. There was a lady who went and bought a nice MacBook Pro. And then she walked over, she locked it and secured it into her car, went to work, it was during her lunch break, and then after work she came back out so excited, popped the trunk, and that thing was gone. Steve, how do you suppose, of all the vehicles in that parking lot, they chose that one? They were that lucky. How do you suppose?
Well, they're looking for things.
Yeah, they followed her.
Yeah.
They followed her from the store. So one thing to be aware of is watch who's watching you. And if you are driving away from some store and you're pretty sure you're being followed, I'd say take the 4 lefts or the 4 rights. If you go left, 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 and the person's still behind you, guess what? You're being followed.
Right.
Then I'd pick up the phone, call 911, and listen to the dispatchers who will keep you on the phone and direct you till the officers arrive.
Porch pirates.
Porch pirates.
During the holidays, a lot of people are ordering online and they're getting deliveries, and many times we see the people who are delivering, they may ring the doorbell, they may not, they leave it right on the porch and they leave. Bad news for somebody who is expecting something valuable.
You have really bad news. And when you have something valuable like that, I'd suggest if you're ordering something off a site like an Amazon, they have Amazon lockers. So instead of having it delivered and set on the porch and taking that chance, why not have it delivered someplace where it's secure, where you don't have to be home and you can go get it later? And UPS and the other deliveries have similar type of things you can do. At a minimum, you could also ask someone who is going to be home, have it delivered to someone who can take care, control, custody of that package, and then get it safely to you later.
When you're buying an item from an online stranger, it requires a meetup in person often to exchange cash for goods. How can that process be made safer?
Choosing a safer location. The Plano Police Department has 2 locations. They have a location next to the Davis Library that's on 7501 Independence, and we have the main station, 909 14th Street, where you can go into the lobby and make the exchange there. If we had someone who was really pretending to sell something and was planning to come and rob you instead, they're most likely not going to meet you at the police station. They probably will say, oh, you know what, I end up selling it, sorry about that, rather than to put themselves in some place where they know they could be caught.
Chris, you host an incredibly informative series of videos called Safety Tips from the Plano Police Department. Give us some of your holiday safety tips that you've already told the public about in some of the videos you've done.
Okay, one big tip I would say is not to advertise that you're away from home. You don't want to post the picture and say, so great being here in family, and you're in some other state, because criminals are now looking at social media to give them insights on when you may not be home. Instead, wait till you get back home and then post the picture saying, it was great being with family, so nice to be back home. Then the burglar's like, oh darn, missed it. So think about that.
What are some other tips in general to help us protect ourselves at home? I see you have some devices here. Good for our video viewers to see.
Yes, one thing is to understand that your house was never designed for your safety. If someone kicks your door is going to fly open, and it will, because what you have securing your door is a strike plate like this. This strike plate has half-inch screws. And so even if you had the best deadbolt that money can buy, if you kick it, the door is going to fly open because these little screws will rip out of the trim wood. So you want to replace your hardware, instead of having a half-inch screw, something like this. It's a double security strike plate. It has a place for the door handle, the deadbolt lock, but there's 9 4-inch screws which now go into the 2x4 studs. So there's no one really who's going to be able to kick out 9 2x4 studs. And if you are lucky to have a police department that will come out to your house, walk your property with you, and make suggestions on how to make that house more burglar resistant, then take advantage of that. The Plano Police Department offers that for our citizens, and I know some of the other cities surrounding us do as well.
And how do you get that service? You just call up the police department?
You want to call the Crime Prevention Unit in Plano. In some other cities, it could be the community outreach or community relations, and ask them if they have this. For Plano, you call the Crime Prevention Unit, and we'll connect you with the officer in charge of your area.
And finally, Chris, we got to ask you, is Plano a safe city?
Plano has consistently been rated one of the #1 safest cities in America for our city our size. So it is very safe.
I remember a few years ago, Time magazine recognized us as one of the safest cities in the country. And as a result of being safe, healthy.
Yes.
People who have less stress knowing their city is safe live healthier lives.
That's true.
Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate you being on the podcast with us today.
Thank you. And on behalf of the Plano Police Department, we want to wish everyone a happy and safe holiday season.
Officer Chris Bianez with the Plano Police Department Crime Prevention Unit. Thank you very much.
I know you give me a hard time, Steve, about saying that was always an interesting conversation, but what I do like about talking with Officer Bianez, I have him on our Facebook Live broadcast pretty frequently. I think it's remarkable because I didn't grow up in a place where the police department would come and do a security assessment on your house. I just find it fascinating. So I feel like every time Chris is on a show that I'm doing, I learn something new about a service that the police department offers.
Yeah, he's great. And when I say he's a superstar at the Sam Johnson Recreation Center for Seniors, I'm not kidding.
So tell us about it, because I think folks might not know if you don't go to Sam Johnson.
So Chris loves to dance. And every week there's one day where they have a dance for the seniors at the center. And he's there almost every week. And because of his love for dancing, he dances with the senior ladies, and they love him. They love him there. And you know what? He's a heck of a dancer.
Well, he really is.
I've seen him.
You know, he can still do some pretty epic gymnastic moves too. So he's a great guy. I do encourage you, if you live in Plano, take advantage of having them come out and look at your house. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can earn quite a bit of peace of mind or a pretty good checklist of things that you might want to think about doing, and just simple things. I remember Chris blew my mind when he said, you know, one of the best things that you can do, he didn't say it in this podcast interview, it was another time, but locking the door between your garage and the house. Just like lock the door coming into the house. That's the easiest way that people get into your house, and so many people leave that unlocked, and I thought, I'm one of those people. So I haven't left it unlocked since then.
Another one is open garage doors.
Yep.
So many people leave their garage doors open. When I was a reporter, I did several stories on this. You know what we would do? We would take our TV camera and we would walk up the driveway to the open garage, and we would say, if we were burglars, this is what we would have easy access to.
Yeah.
Expensive tools, you know, lawn equipment, so many things that you can imagine that are in a garage. You leave your door open, it only takes 5 seconds to walk in that garage, grab something, and be on your way.
Right. And we're not saying that Plano is a dangerous place or, you know, full of burglars or anything like that, but we're also saying use your head, you know, I mean, treat your possessions with respect. You spent good money, you know, acquiring them. Take care of them, you know, don't leave your wallet sitting out on the front porch, and don't leave your garage door open.
I think the bottom line is don't make yourself an easy target. You know, we're a city of more than 280,000 people. We're not immune from crime.
Exactly.
But if you're going to make it easy for the criminals to do these things, you know, they're going to take advantage of you.
Absolutely, and definitely during the holiday season, because you are out shopping, you are getting goodies. I don't know about anyone else, but I feel like running through my task list, you know, I tend to make mistakes because I'm just in a hurry. I'm just going to run in real quick to XYZ store, and I can make a dumb decision of leaving something valuable sitting out in my car. Even if I have my car locked, that's not enough. So just be wise. The police department always says, be wise, don't advertise. So don't make yourself, like you said, that easy target.
So Shauna, we've talked a lot about some of the holiday events that the city is sponsoring.
Yep.
Let's tell our listeners and viewers where they can go to get more information about those holiday events.
Sure. So we mentioned earlier in the podcast that we have a holiday event calendar on the city's website. But here's something that a lot of people don't realize, and I think we talked about it the other month. We really need to get Visit Plano on the podcast because people don't know what the Visit Plano department is. It is the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And so their job is to get people to come and spend time in Plano. We want you to stay in a hotel. We want you to go shopping. You know, it's to increase foot traffic in Plano for entertainment purposes. So they have a great website, visitplano.com. It's a great place to go because there are tons of events that we would never put on the city calendar because, you know, they're not events that we're hosting. So
tell us about some of the events that they have on their website.
Absolutely. So I looked through, and of course I was making my little list because I'm a planner. It's what I do. So these are some things that, you know, outside of the basics, like they have all of the light displays where you can go. Some of them aren't even based in Plano, but they're nearby. But do you want to go get one of your dogs photo taken with Santa? Because you can go to Santa Paws. I mean, for sure you want to do that. You can go take a class in how to make an ugly Christmas sweater. And
I don't have to make them. I've got about 20 of them.
I wasn't going to say anything about that. You know, it's a good time to do some cooking classes. They have holiday specific. One I saw that I thought, oh, I might do this is holiday French pastry making. Parties. One place in Plano is hosting a winter onesie land. Everybody come in their holiday onesies. Markets, tree lightings, concerts, performances, tons of stuff there. I mean, literally, I think I went through 10 pages of holiday-specific activities just for December, and I was doing that ahead of December, so imagine what else is still to come down.
I've got to ask, do you have a holiday onesie?
I do not, but do I have not one, but 2 pairs of socks that say, "You will find me watching Hallmark Christmas movies"? Yes, I do. They were both given to me last year. I've gotten a reputation for watching those shows, and I didn't even like them to begin with. I blame my spouse. He's a fan, and now I guess I am too.
So we've got to also talk about what to do after the holidays.
Yep.
People have all the wrappings, all the packaging from their gifts.
Yep.
People have Christmas trees that they want to get rid of. What should they do?
So Christmas trees, if your tree is a live tree, we will have tree recycling drop-off locations. Make it easy, take everything off the tree. We don't, don't drag the tree down fully decorated. Remove the lights, remove the tinsel, all of the baubles, and just take the tree. You can take your wreaths and your other greenery too. And those locations I've linked to on the website, so you can get to those. We did a great town hall meeting in November about recycling and trash and what should be recycled, what should be put in the trash, and how to do that. It might be smart to go back and watch that. We've got a note about it on the city's Facebook page and on the website, because you'll want to think through, where are you going to put that wrapping paper, where are you going to put those boxes and things like that.
Chris didn't mention it, but when you do put your boxes outside, be careful and break it down first, because you don't want to let criminals know what you have new inside your house. It's almost like you're advertising.
Oh, absolutely. If you can't break down the box, at the very least turn it inside out. But I do think that people would probably know an inside out TV box is still probably a TV. So just think through that. Steve, we're not going to talk to our podcast family until 2020. Can you believe that?
No, I can't.
Well, I think we did this last year, so I'd love to do it again this year. Do you have any New Year's wishes, since we won't be talking again till 1st of January?
I do. I think I would like to see more of in 2020, of course, peace, but a little more civility. I think people should realize, we're all in this together. Either we're from Plano, we're all Texans, we're all Americans. I'd like to see people put their political differences aside and just, do some tiny acts of kindness for other people that really go a long way. Politics is not everything. When it all comes down to it, we're all Americans. And it's just, that's something that constantly bothers me every day, is when I see people who aren't civil to each other and just with mutual respect. And I think we need to see more of that next year.
I agree with that. I would add to that same wish, I'd like to see, I've seen the beginnings of it this last year, of just a growing sense of community, of a shared sense of purpose. And in fact, our council, we had new council members elected this last year. They issued a new vision statement as a council, and one of the lines in there I just really love. It talks about, kind of the characteristics of Plano, and it says, we are bonded by a shared sense of community. And I love that. So that's my wish for 2020, that we truly feel what it's like to be bonded by a shared sense of community. You don't always have to agree on everything. You might not always agree on the best way to get to an end result, but I suspect more people have the same idea of an end result than don't. We all want healthy, happy families, healthy, happy kids. We all want great education. We all want to live in a safe place. And I'd like to focus more on those things that we share together than those things that divide us.
It's always been said that around the holidays, people are generally nicer to each other. You don't see as much road rage. People will greet each other more often. I'd like to see that 365 days a year.
Agreed, especially since there's a lot of road construction coming in 2020. So please, Plano, let's keep the low road rage going, because we're going to be talking about that a lot, I promise, on the podcast next year. So speaking of that, not road construction, but the podcast, we do want people to subscribe. So please help us. The simple way you can do that is leave a review. If you've listened to an episode and you really love it, share it on social media. Let your friends know. It's always fun to me to have people come up to me and say, your voice is familiar, or I think I know your name. I listen to Inside Plano. It's not that I want necessarily to meet listeners, but knowing that we have listeners and that they're getting value out of the podcast, that's a great thing.
Let's tell them again where they can subscribe.
Yep.
And also the website of where they can see the podcast.
Absolutely. So the easiest way to do both of those things is to go to InsidePlano.com. There you'll see links to all of the places that you can subscribe to the podcast. We're on every platform imaginable. You can listen to us on Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, of course, Apple Podcasts. So whatever your favorite podcast platform is, you can subscribe there. And we also have a link to our YouTube video of this podcast. It's surprising to me that we have 300 to 400 of you who love watching this podcast on video. And, you know, we look some days a little crazier than others, but it's always kind of fun to see what happens behind the scenes. And today's was a good one because Officer Bianez brought actual things to show of what you can do to make your home more secure. So you might want to watch the video.
So Shauna, I know you'll join me in wishing all of our listeners and viewers a very happy holidays.
Absolutely. Stay safe, Plano, and we'll talk to you in 2020.
Happy New Year, too.
Bye.
And that's it for our Inside Plano. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did doing it.
If you have any comments or suggestions, send them to us at askplano@plano.gov. Bye.
Talk to you next month. The Inside Plano podcast is brought to you by the City of Plano and 97.5 KLAK.